Hey Pisces, I need to talk to you about something really important that just came through in this reading. I've been doing tarot for a while now, and sometimes you get these readings that just hit different, you know? This is one of those moments where the cards are showing me something that I think you really need to hear right now. So before I even pulled any cards, I could feel this heavy energy around your situation. Like there's been this weight on you that you maybe couldn't quite name or explain to anyone else. And when I started laying out the cards for you, what came through was honestly pretty intense, but also incredibly empowering at the same time. The theme that keeps coming up here is about protection, about someone or maybe multiple people who have been trying to reach you, trying to get access to your energy in ways that aren't exactly healthy or good for you. And here's the thing that I find really fascinating about your reading, Pisces. The cards are showing me that you've actually already been protecting yourself, maybe without even fully realizing what you were doing or how powerful your intuition has been guiding you lately. I want to walk you through what came up because I think understanding the full picture here is going to be really valuable for you moving forward. There's a story unfolding in these cards about manipulation, about people who thought they could use you in some way, and about how you've actually been breaking free from patterns that were never meant to serve your highest good. Let me start by saying that Pisces, you have this natural ability to sense things that other people miss. You pick up on energies and intentions, even when they're hidden behind nice words or friendly gestures. And lately, I think that ability has been working overtime for you, hasn't it? You've probably been getting these gut feelings about certain people or situations, maybe pulling back from connections that used to feel comfortable but now just feel off somehow. The first card that came through for you is the Three of Cups, and I have to tell you, when this card showed up in this particular reading with this specific energy around it, it made so much sense. Usually the Three of Cups is all about celebration and friendship and good times with your people, right? It's that card of joy and connection and coming together. But in your reading, this card is showing me something a little bit different, and I want you to really pay attention to this. What I'm seeing here is that there have been people in your circle, maybe friends or people who presented themselves as friends, who have been celebrating and connecting with each other, but not necessarily with your best interests at heart. Does that make sense? Like, imagine a group of people who smile to your face and act like they're your people. But behind the scenes, there's this whole other dynamic happening that you weren't fully aware of until recently. The Three of Cups in this context is showing me social manipulation, Pisces. It's showing me people who wanted to keep you close, not because they genuinely cared about you or valued you as a person, but because they wanted something from you. They wanted access to your energy, your resources, your light, your gifts. And they used the appearance of friendship and community to keep you in a position where they could continue taking from you. Now here's what's really interesting about this card showing up first. It's not here to make you paranoid or to make you stop trusting people altogether. It's here to validate something you've probably already been feeling. You've probably been noticing that certain friendships or social connections just don't feel genuine anymore. Maybe you've been seeing through the performances, catching the subtle ways people's words don't match their actions, or feeling this disconnect between what someone says they feel about you and what they actually demonstrate through their behavior. The Three of Cups is telling me that you've been in a situation where people were celebrating and connecting over things that actually came at your expense. Maybe they bonded over talking about you when you weren't there, or they came together in ways that excluded you while pretending to include you, or they used information you shared in vulnerable moments as entertainment or ammunition later on. It's this really specific kind of betrayal where the tools of connection, the things that are supposed to bring people together in healthy ways, got twisted into something that served an agenda you weren't aware of. And what I'm seeing in the energy around this card is that these people thought they had you figured out. They thought they understood how to keep you in this dynamic, how to keep you giving and sharing and being available to them. They saw your Pisces nature, that beautiful, compassionate, giving energy that you have, and they mistook your kindness for weakness. They thought they could keep taking because you would keep giving, that they could keep using the appearance of friendship to maintain access to everything you bring to the table. But here's the shift that's happening, and this is where your reading starts to get really powerful. You've been waking up to this dynamic. maybe slowly at first, like little moments of clarity here and there, or maybe it hit you all at once, like suddenly everything made sense and you could see the whole picture. Either way, the Three of Cups is showing me that the veil has been lifting for you around who your real people are and who has been playing a role while having completely different intentions underneath. The energy I'm getting is that you've been pulling back, maybe without making a big announcement about it, just quietly creating more space between yourself and these connections that don't feel right anymore. And that pulling back, that protective instinct you've been following, that's actually been breaking something really important. It's been breaking the access these people had to use you as a source for whatever they were trying to get from you. Moving into the next card, I pulled the Wheel of Fortune for you, and honestly, Pisces, this card showing up here gave me chills because of what it represents in the context of everything else that's coming through. The Wheel of Fortune is all about cycles, about karma, about the natural order of things where what goes around comes around and everything eventually returns to balance. In your reading, the Wheel of Fortune is confirming something really significant. It's telling me that there has been a karmic cycle at play in your life, and that cycle is turning right now. The people who tried to use you, who tried to position you as some kind of sacrifice for their own benefit or agenda, they set something in motion that they thought would work in their favor. They thought they were spinning the wheel and controlling where it would land. But the universe doesn't work like that, does it? What the Wheel of Fortune is showing me is that every action these people took, every manipulation they attempted, every time they tried to drain your energy or use your gifts or take advantage of your kindness, all of that has been building up a karmic debt that they're now starting to pay. And here's the thing about karma that people often misunderstand. It's not about revenge or punishment. It's about balance. It's about the universe restoring equilibrium in situations where someone has been taking more than they're giving or causing harm while thinking they could escape the consequences. I'm seeing that you've been protected in ways you might not have even realized, Pisces. There have been moments where things could have gone much worse for you, where you could have gotten more entangled in these toxic dynamics, where you could have given even more of yourself before realizing what was really happening. But something kept intervening. Your intuition kept whispering to you. Opportunities to walk away kept presenting themselves. Circumstances shifted in ways that created distance between you and the people who meant you harm. That's the Wheel of Fortune working in your favor, showing you that you're aligned with something bigger than the small manipulations of people who don't understand real power or real connection. The wheel has been turning this whole time, and while these people thought they were on top, thought they had everything figured out and under control, the wheel was already in motion to bring them back down and lift you up to where you're actually supposed to be. The message I'm getting from the Wheel of Fortune is really clear. The karmic cycle that has been playing out is reaching a completion point. Things that were hidden are coming to light. People who thought they got away with their behavior are starting to experience natural consequences. And you, Pisces, you're being released from a cycle that was never yours to carry in the first place. You were being pulled into someone else's karma, someone else's patterns, someone else's mess. And the wheel is now extracting you from that and returning you to your own path. I also want to point out that the Wheel of Fortune is telling me that this turn of events was inevitable. It wasn't about you doing something right or wrong. It wasn't about you being strong enough or smart enough or aware enough. This was always going to happen because this is how the universe works. Imbalance cannot be sustained forever. People who operate from manipulation and harmful intent cannot maintain their position indefinitely. The wheel turns for everyone, and it always brings things back to truth and balance eventually. So if you've been feeling guilty about pulling back from certain people, if you've been questioning whether you were too harsh or too suspicious or too protective, the Wheel of Fortune wants you to release that guilt. You were being guided to protect yourself, and that protection was necessary and right and perfectly timed. You didn't abandon anyone. You didn't fail anyone. You simply stopped participating in a dynamic that was costing you too much and giving you too little in return. Now let's talk about the third card that came through, and this one is really telling about what was actually happening beneath the surface. I pulled the Hanged Man for you. And when this card appears in a reading like this, it speaks to sacrifice, but not the beautiful, willing sacrifice that comes from love or purpose. This is about someone being positioned as a sacrifice, being put in a situation where they're expected to give up their own well-being for someone else's benefit. The Hanged Man in your reading is showing me that there was an actual attempt to use you as a sacrifice, Pisces. And I don't mean that metaphorically or symbolically. I mean that there were people in your life who were willing to let you suffer, to let you take the fall, to let you carry the weight of situations that weren't your responsibility, also that they could benefit or avoid consequences or maintain their position. Think about what sacrifice really means in a practical sense. It means someone gives up something valuable so that something else can be achieved. And what I'm seeing in your cards is that you are being set up to give up your peace, your energy, your happiness, your resources, maybe even your reputation or opportunities, all so that other people could have what they wanted without having to do the real work or face the real consequences of their own choices and actions. The Hanged Man is showing me suspension, being stuck in a position where you couldn't move freely, where you were held in place by obligations or guilt or social pressure or manipulation. Does this resonate with you? Have you felt stuck lately, like you were in situations or relationships where you couldn't be yourself, couldn't speak your truth, couldn't make the moves you wanted to make because of how it would affect other people or how they would react? That suspended state, that's what they wanted for you. They wanted you accessible but not empowered. They wanted you caring but not discerning. They wanted you giving but not receiving. The Hanged Man represents that imbalanced state where you were being asked to see everything from their perspective, to make all the sacrifices, to be the one who adjusts and accommodates and gives up what you need so that they could have what they want. But here's what's really powerful about the Hanged Man appearing in your reading right now. This card often represents a shift in perspective, a moment where you suddenly see things completely differently than you did before. And that's exactly what's happened for you, hasn't it? You've had this perspective shift where you can now see the dynamics clearly. You can see who was really giving and who was really taking. You can see who had your back and who was actually pushing you forward to take the hit. The Hanged Man is telling me that the attempted sacrifice has been interrupted. The pattern that was supposed to keep you suspended and giving endlessly has been broken. You've changed your perspective, you've seen through the manipulation, and you've refused to continue playing the role that was assigned to you. And that refusal, that shift in how you see things and how you respond to what's being asked of you, that's what broke the attack these people were mounting against you. Because make no mistake, trying to position someone as a sacrifice, trying to use them as a resource to be drained or a shield to hide behind or a scapegoat to blame, that's an attack. It might not look like a physical attack. It might come wrapped in friendship or family loyalty or social expectations, but it's still an attack on your well-being and your autonomy and your right to protect yourself and prioritize your own path. The fourth card is the Star, and honestly, Pisces, when this card showed up, I felt this wave of relief and hope because of what it represents coming after everything else we've been talking about. The Star is one of the most beautiful cards in the entire deck. It's about hope, healing, renewal, inspiration, and that sense of being guided by something higher than the everyday drama and manipulation of human behavior. In your reading, the Star is telling me that you are being restored right now. After everything you've been through, after all the ways people tried to drain you and use you and position you for their own benefit, you are now in a period of healing and renewal. And this isn't just about recovering what was lost. This is about discovering strengths and gifts and aspects of yourself that you didn't even know you had before all of this happened. The Star appears after the Tower moment, after everything falls apart and you're sitting in the rubble wondering what's even left. And what it promises is that something beautiful and meaningful can be built from that space of complete honesty and clarity. You've had your Tower moment, whether it was a single event or a series of realizations that dismantled your previous understanding of certain relationships and situations. And now you're in the Star phase where you're remembering who you actually are underneath all the roles and expectations and manipulations. What I'm seeing with the Star is that you're reconnecting with your intuition in a really powerful way. That Pisces gift of sensing and knowing and feeling the truth beneath the surface, that's coming back online for you after maybe being dimmed or ignored or talked out of for a while. You're trusting yourself again. You're believing in your perceptions again. You're allowing yourself to be guided by that inner knowing. That has always been your greatest protection and your most reliable compass. The star is also showing me that you're becoming visible in a new way. Not visible to the people who wanted to use you because you're actually becoming less accessible to them, but visible to the right people, to opportunities that actually align with your path, to connections that can be genuinely mutual and supportive. It's like you were hidden before, camouflaged in dynamics that didn't really fit you, and now you're starting to shine in a way that attracts what's actually meant for you. I want you to understand something really important about the star energy, Pisces. This card is telling me that you have a purpose and a path that is so much bigger than the small agendas of people who tried to use you. Their attempts to sacrifice you or drain you or keep you suspended in service to their needs, all of that was actually in opposition to what you're really here to do and be. And the universe is not going to allow you to be permanently derailed by people who are operating from such a low level of consciousness and intention. The star is your confirmation that you are protected, you are guided, and you are being led towards something that actually deserves your energy and your gifts. The healing that's happening right now isn't just personal healing, it's preparation. You're being prepared for a level of purpose and impact that requires you to be clear, to be strong, to be discerning about who and what gets access to your energy. Something I'm picking up around the star is that you might be feeling called to help other people who have been through similar situations. Your experience of waking up to manipulation, of breaking free from people who tried to use you, of protecting yourself and finding your way back to your own truth, that's going to become wisdom that you can share. Not right away necessarily, you're still in your own healing process, but eventually what you've learned is going to be valuable to others who are going through their own versions of this journey. Let me pull the next card for you, because there's more to this story, and I want you to have the complete picture. The fifth card that came through is the Knight of Pentacles, and this card is really interesting in the context of everything else because it represents slow, steady, methodical progress. It's not the flashy knight who rushes in dramatically. It's the knight who shows up every day, who does the work consistently, who builds something real and lasting through dedication and persistence. In your reading, Pisces, the Knight of Pentacles is showing me two things. First, it's showing me how you've been approaching your own recovery and protection. You haven't made big dramatic announcements about cutting people off or called everyone out publicly or tried to get revenge. You've been quietly, steadily, methodically creating the distance and boundaries you need. You've been doing the internal work of healing and understanding what happened. You've been taking practical steps to protect your energy and your resources going forward. That's the Knight of Pentacles energy. And it's actually one of the most powerful approaches you could take in a situation like this. Because when you operate slowly and steadily, people don't see you as a threat. They don't mobilize against you or try to do damage control or launch a counterattack. They might not even realize at first that you've changed your position relative to them. And by the time they do realize it, you're already far enough away that they can't easily pull you back in. The second thing the Knight of Pentacles is showing me is about the future you're building for yourself now. This card represents material security, practical achievement, building something solid and real in the physical world. And what I'm seeing is that as you extract yourself from these draining dynamics and protect your energy more carefully, you're going to start seeing tangible results in your actual life circumstances. Maybe that means your finances improve because you're not being drained by people who take advantage of your generosity. Maybe it means your health improves because you're not carrying the stress and weight of toxic relationships. Maybe it means your career or creative projects start progressing because you have the energy and focus to actually invest in your own goals instead of being constantly pulled into other people's drama and needs. The Knight of Pentacles is telling me that you're entering a building phase, Pisces. You're done with the destruction and the chaos and the confusion. Now you're in the phase where you get to build something real for yourself based on what you actually want and value without having to accommodate people who don't have your best interests at heart. And this building phase might not be fast or dramatic or immediately obvious to outside observers, but it's going to be real and it's going to be lasting. I'm also getting with this card that there's an opportunity here for you to develop a different relationship with the material world and with practical matters. Pisces, you're often so focused on the emotional and spiritual and intuitive realms that sometimes the practical stuff gets neglected or feels less important. But the Knight of Pentacles is inviting you to bring that same depth and presence you have in the emotional realm into your practical life. To be as intentional about your finances and your physical environment and your daily routines as you are about your inner world and your spiritual practice. And here's why that matters in the context of this reading. When you're strong in the practical realm, when you have your material life organized and secure, it's much harder for people to manipulate you or position you as a sacrifice. You're not desperate. You're not vulnerable in those basic human needs ways that manipulative people exploit. You have options. You have stability. You have a foundation that can't be easily shaken by someone threatening to withdraw their support or approval. The final card I pulled for you is the King of Swords. And Pisces, this is such a powerful card to have at the end of your reading because it represents everything that these people who tried to use you were not expecting from you. The King of Swords is about clarity, truth, intellectual strength, the ability to see through deception and speak what's real without apology. It's about mental sovereignty, about being the authority in your own mind and your own perception of reality. Remember I mentioned earlier that these people mistook your kindness for weakness? They saw your Pisces compassion and emotional depth and assumed that meant you couldn't be strong or clear or decisive when you needed to be. The King of Swords showing up here is telling me that you have access to a level of mental clarity and intellectual strength that completely surprised the people who thought they had you figured out. This card represents your ability to cut through lies and manipulation with truth. Not emotional truth necessarily, but factual truth, logical truth, the kind of truth that can't be argued with or talked around. You've been developing this ability to see situations clearly, to name what's really happening without getting lost in the emotional smokescreens that people throw up to confuse you or make you doubt your own perceptions. The King of Swords is also showing me that you're done being nice at the expense of being honest. Pisces, you have this tendency to soften your truth, to worry about hurting people's feelings, to give people the benefit of the doubt even when they've shown you clearly who they are. And while that compassion is a beautiful quality, the King of Swords is telling me that you're learning to balance it with discernment and appropriate boundaries. This doesn't mean you're becoming cold or harsh. It means you're becoming sovereign. You're claiming your right to name your reality, to trust your observations, to draw conclusions based on patterns of behavior rather than hoping that people will eventually become who you wish they were. The King of Swords represents mature mental and emotional independence, where you can care about people without being responsible for managing their reactions to your boundaries or your truth. What I'm seeing with this card is that this whole situation, as difficult as it's been, has actually been activating this King of Swords energy in you that you're going to need for everything that's coming next in your life. You're being trained in discernment. You're learning to identify manipulation tactics. You're developing the ability to protect yourself without guilt or hesitation. These are skills that are going to serve you forever, Pisces, in every area of your life. The King of Swords at the end of your reading is also a message about communication going forward. You're being called to speak your truth more clearly, to set boundaries more explicitly, to stop hinting or hoping that people will just understand what you need. When you communicate from this King of Swords energy, you're direct, you're clear, you're calm, and you're unwavering. And that kind of communication is incredibly powerful because it doesn't leave room for misunderstanding or manipulation. So let me bring all of this together for you, Pisces, because I want you to really understand the full story that these cards are telling. You've been in a situation where people tried to use you, tried to position you as a sacrifice for their own benefit, tried to keep you in a suspended state where you would keep giving while they kept taking. They thought they understood you, thought they could keep you in that dynamic indefinitely because of your compassionate Pisces nature. But what they didn't account for was your intuition, your ability to sense what's really happening beneath the surface, and your connection to something bigger than their small manipulations. The wheel of fate has been turning this whole time, building up karmic consequences for their behavior, while simultaneously extracting you from their reach. You've been having perspective shifts that allowed you to see clearly what was really happening, and you've been quietly, steadily removing yourself from these toxic dynamics. Now you're in a phase of healing and renewal where you're reconnecting with your true self, your purpose, your gifts. You're building a new foundation based on what you actually want and value, and you're developing the mental clarity and strength to protect yourself going forward without guilt or hesitation. The attempted attack has been broken. The sacrifice they tried to set you up for has been interrupted, and you're free now to move forward on your actual path. I want you to understand something really important, Pisces. The fact that you can't be reached by these people anymore, that's not a problem. That's your protection. They don't know how to reach you because you've changed the access codes. You're operating from a different frequency now, one that they can't tune into because it requires a level of authenticity and genuine care that they're not capable of. Your unreachability to them is your safety. And the karma that's playing out, that's not something you need to chase or force or even watch. It's already in motion. The universe handles that part. Your job is just to keep healing, keep building, keep trusting your intuition, and keep moving forward on your own path. The people who tried to use you are going to face the natural consequences of their choices, and you're going to experience the natural rewards of choosing to protect yourself and honor your own truth. So as you move forward from here, trust that protection you're feeling, that sense that you're not as accessible to certain energies or people anymore. Trust the clarity that's come from this experience. Trust your ability to see through deception and to protect yourself without guilt. You broke something really powerful when you refused to continue being the sacrifice, when you changed your perspective and started prioritizing your own well-being. That break freed you, and that freedom is going to open up so many possibilities that weren't available to you when you were stuck in those draining dynamics.